All right, hello everybody. My name is Rachel Dieter. I am an Assistant Director of Career Development, and I am one of the team members in the Career Development Office that works with students in the College of Business. Today, I'm going to be taking you through the process of finding an internship. I've included my contact information on this first slide, so please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or concerns. All right, so one of the most important things to talk about when we talk about internships is to make sure that everybody understands what an internship actually is. So sometimes in the media, we see these representations of interns who are really just, kind of there to get coffee for their boss or make copies for their boss, but they don't really get a lot of value out of the internship experience. And that's a big misrepresentation. In all reality, internships are actually official and formal programs that are designed to give you, as kind of a newbie to the profession, some real practical experience that you can use carrying forward, and you can leverage that in your career. And we should also make sure that you understand why you should get one. I know that people in the College of Business like to tell you that it's really important that you get internships, but sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of data to back that up. So this is data that comes from NACE, and NACE is an association that consists of people like me who work in career centers and colleges. And it also includes people who are employers who hire college graduates. And what they did a survey and they asked employers, they said, what are the most influential attributes when you're looking at making a hiring decision? If you're trying to decide between two people, what's the thing that's going to put somebody over the edge? And so this is on a 5-point scale where 5 would be the highest possible score and 0 would be, I guess 1 is the lowest score. But they said, what's the most influential? What's going to help you make that decision on who you want to hire? And you'll see that the first thing listed here is having an internship within my organization. So if I was looking to hire, if you've completed an internship with my organization, that's the most influential attribute. And then the second most influential attribute is actually having internships just in general within my industry, right? And so what this tells us that getting that internship experience is a really big deal because this could help you increase your chances of getting a job after graduation. There's also a lot aside from that maybe edge in the job market, which is listed here, that you can get from having that internship. Some really great things that you can gain just by completing an internship. So obviously you're going to get that valuable work experience, right? We know that internships give you opportunities to do meaningful work. And that can give you that edge in the job market, as that data from NACE showed. It's also a great time to try something out. I with a lot of students who are so worried that they're going to accept the wrong internship. And we're going to talk about some ways that you can try and vet out internships and make sure that you're getting into something that's right for you. But even if you don't have a clear picture of exactly what you need to be doing after graduation, getting an internship is a really great way to try something out for 2 or 3 months, see if you like it. And if you do like it, you have some great ideas of something you might want to try moving forward. But even figuring out that something isn't the right fit is still a really great way to learn more about what careers might be appealing to you. You also really get to do some great networking. That's another really big benefit of completing an internship, is that you get to connect with your supervisor and people in their network if they're willing to share. And that can be a really great way, even if it's something you decide isn't the right fit for you, it does help you gain connections because likely they'll have connections outside of their direct area of work too. And then additionally, one of the other big things, I use a lot of students who just don't have a ton of confidence. They'll say, oh, I don't really have any experience. Well, one of the great things about completing an internship is, one, you're going to get a little bit of experience, right? But hopefully you can have a little bit more confidence that you've done something, you have experience on your resume, and that can be a big boost as you kind of go into a full-time job search after graduation. So today I'm going to take you through 3 elements of a successful search, and they are use your resources. I'm going to talk about a couple different resources, and I'm going to make sure that you use them. But if you take one thing away from this, I want you to take away, don't apply to your dream job without a resume review from a career coach. I've talked to way too many students who have applied to a ton of positions, and then they come talk to us. Make sure you come talk to us before you apply to that dream job. We want to make sure that you're sending out the best possible resume, and we really want to make sure that we help you out. 2, do your research. So I'm going to talk about some key ways that you can do that research. And then be open-minded and persistent. It's really important to know that applying to 1 or 2 or 3 internship positions is not enough. And we want to make sure that you're thinking outside the box and being open-minded about the kinds of positions and organizations you're applying to. All right. So when I talk about using your resources, one of the resources that you have available to you is your people resources. So you have the career development office that includes people like me, and it includes things like our drop-in hours and appointments, which you can easily schedule in Handshake. To give you an idea of some of the services we offer, we do help with resumes and cover letters. We help with internship search strategies. So I know I'm giving you an overview today, but sometimes it's more helpful for folks to have that really specialized, individualized approach for some strategies. So you can definitely come talk for a more one-on-one conversation there. You talk about interviewing techniques, salary negotiation, and so much more. The other thing that we offer through our office is Jesuit reciprocity. And this is with all the other Jesuit schools, so all the schools in the AJCU, we actually have reciprocity with their career centers. So basically what this means is that if you said, you know, I like Cincinnati, but home for me is Boston, and I really would like to go back there for an internship or even for a full-time job, right? Well, we actually offer reciprocity with Boston College, and this is true for any other Jesuit schools too. So if there's one in your area, this can be a great resource. So we ask that you come in and meet with us. So you just schedule an appointment and say, hey, I'd like to talk about reciprocity. And then we'll kind of talk, make sure that you have some good strategies in place, just because it's a good tool, but it's not the only tool. And we want to make sure that you're doing everything else that you can too. And then you can actually get set up with their career center, and you can use their version of Handshake to find jobs and gain access to some of the events that their employers host and all kinds of things. So just another really good tool. But you can, if you want to learn more about that, I recommend that you schedule an appointment with one of the career coaches in Handshake. You've also got a ton of people in the College of Business that want to help you out. I know that we have a lot of great faculty who take on students as mentors or mentees. So that's a really good opportunity as well to take advantage of. You've also got all of these classes through BPP or BUAD, where you get to hear from outside professionals and not just me. And so you get to hear from them and connect with them too. And then you also have your network. So the Career Development Office hosts 2 different mentoring platforms. That's Flash Mentoring, which I've hyperlinked there because you can join that at any time. And that is really good for informational interviews. So if you're trying to explore a career or grow your network in a certain area, you can check that out and you can learn more, kind of pick somebody's brain, gain access to their network. So that's a really great tool. And then we also have our professional mentor program, which information sessions will be hosted in the fall and in the spring, and those will be posted to Handshake. So make sure that you check Handshake frequently and keep an eye out on your email for those opportunities to connect, because you do have to attend an information session to be able to join that. But your network also consists of way more than just those 2 programs, right? Anybody at Xavier, friends, family, Xavier alumni, coworkers, tons of different people. So make sure that you use your network as well when you're looking for a job or internship. All right, so the other part of resources, these are your online resources. So you've heard me mention it a couple times now, but Handshake is our online job board. It is also how you schedule an appointment with your career coach. It's how you find upcoming events that we're hosting or career fairs. It's how you find employer events too. So it's a really great resource. I'm going to give you a little bit of a demo in a second. There are tons of other internet job boards. So LinkedIn.com is my personal favorite. You can use a variety of other ones, or also just going to a specific company's website. If you know there are certain companies you want to work at, sometimes just checking out their website makes it really easy to look. You can always check, just again, like I said, Handshake is going to be where career fairs and employer events are listed. And then some industries do have specific sites. So if you're not sure exactly what those are, I recommend that you schedule with a career coach, but some of those industries do have kind of specific places that you can go to look for certain job opportunities. So definitely check that out too. All right, and then before I get into this do your research slide, I'm actually going to close out of this, and I am going to show you some other tools. So you should still be able to see my screen, but now you're seeing Handshake. So I'm going to show you a couple things here on Handshake. So this is what Handshake should look like for you if you log in. Might look a little bit different because they change the interface around every once in a while. But I'm going to show you a couple different things here. And the first thing I'm going to show you is how to look for jobs. So once you've logged into Handshake, and thankfully you don't need to do that 2-step verification, all you have to do is log in with your Xavier username and password. You're going to go ahead and click jobs. Pretty intuitive, right? So once you're on jobs, you can search kind of for a variety of different positions. You can see, it's pretty early in the summer right now, so we're starting to see some accounting positions pop up. But you can filter these out in a ton of different ways. So if I was looking for internships, I'd probably click this internship filter. But you can also look for full-time jobs, part-time jobs, on-campus jobs, so really easy ways to filter out there. And then one of my favorite things about Handshake is kind of the filtering opportunities. So I can go ahead and look at filters. I can look only at paid roles, right? If I don't want to do an unpaid internship. I will also say you shouldn't see too many unpaid internships on Handshake. We only allow nonprofits to post unpaid internships. So you're not going to see a ton of them, but they do pop up. So that's why I like to filter out for those paid roles. You can go ahead and filter for specific job roles, specific industries, employers, majors, but my favorite filter is this employer preferences one. So if I go ahead and click this box, I am going to say that I only want to be shown positions that said they would hire somebody based on my majors with my school year, my graduation date, my US work authorization status, and my GPA. If you're looking at biology, business, undecided, and early childhood education and thinking there's no way that you could be a freshman who graduated in May 2019, that would be correct. This is a fake student. This is not a real person. So if you're worried about that, don't be. So then if I go ahead and click show results, this is going to show me 41 jobs that match the preferences that I put in. So this is a really great way to only spend your time looking at positions that you're qualified for and could actually be hired for. Another thing I want to show you too with this is that you actually have the opportunity to save your search. So if I went ahead and click saved your search, it has now created a job alert for me and I can edit my notifications at any time. So I can even title this something. Maybe you're doing a location search and you're looking into different areas. Maybe you're looking in Cincinnati and you're also looking in your hometown. So you could label one internship Cincinnati and you can label another one internships in your hometown. And you can adjust how frequently you get these notifications, if it's daily or weekly, and if you want to get them in the email, in the app, because Handshake does have an app, or if you want to push notification too. Okay, because this is a fake student, I'm going to go ahead and delete this, but if you wanted those notifications, make sure that you would save them. Another really great thing about these is that if you said, okay, I'm looking and I think this fall government effectiveness program looks really interesting, you can go ahead and click that little bookmark image right next to it, and then it'll show up in your saved area. So this is really great. Sometimes you find a position and you're like, I think this position sounds awesome, but I'm not in the mood to apply to something right now, or I was only looking because I had 5 minutes between classes. So sometimes you want to save something, and this just allows you to come back to it really easily. All right, so also in Handshake, I am going to show you, so if you click this little icon up in the corner, as you saw that I just did, it will take you back to this home screen no matter where you end up. I'm also going to show you how to look at events. So if you go ahead and click events, it's right next to jobs. This is going to show you a ton of different kind of events. So you can see events that Xavier is hosting, but you can also see events that employers are hosting. So if you were interested in working at Mayo Clinic, you could go ahead and go to that session. PetSmart has a ton of sessions. And this is, you can see I'm kind of recording this in July 2021. So that's kind of the positions and the interviews and the events that we're seeing right now. But I am going to show you just how to filter out by career fairs. So if you go ahead and use this career fair filter, this is going to show you career fairs that we have posted at this time. So we've got our fall career fair posted already. So if you wanted to go ahead and bookmark that, you can go ahead and save that, then it'll show up. And so this is just a really good opportunity. And like I said, I'm showing you kind of our career fairs and our events, but employers also host events. And this is a really good way to do some networking and connect with employers too. All right, and then while I'm on Handshake, I'm going to show you one more thing, and that's just how to schedule an appointment with your career coach. So if you go to Handshake and then you click Career Center in the top right, so not where jobs and events are, but it's in the top right. And then you're going to go ahead and click Appointments. Then you're going to go ahead and click Schedule a New Appointment. And then you go ahead and select the category. So if you're a current student, you'd select that one. If you're a veteran or military connected student, you would select that category. That's going to be the two ones that most of the people listening to this presentation will probably use. Then you'd select what you wanted to talk about. So if you wanted to talk about how to do a mock interview, you go ahead and schedule that. And then you can go ahead and look at times and dates and see who's available to connect with. All right. I'm also going to go ahead and show you LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a great tool. It doesn't have the same filtering capacity as Handshake. So that's the reason I love Handshake, because it has those filters that lets you only see jobs that you're qualified for. But it does have some really great networking stuff. So similarly to Handshake, we're going to go ahead and click this jobs piece, right, kind of in the middle of that upper bar. And like, so let's say I was looking for, maybe an accounting internship. We'll go ahead and see if we can find something like that. And then we'll go ahead and look in the Cincinnati, Ohio area. All right, so we've got 9 results for when I put in accounting internship. You can see, and again, this is not a huge internship recruiting timeline because I'm recording it over the summer, so not seeing a ton of options yet, but these will definitely increase. So one of the things, if we look at Fidelity, one of the reasons I do really love LinkedIn is this networking piece. So if I'm looking at this position, I can see that LinkedIn is telling me, hey, you have connections who work at Fidelity. I've got 2 connections, and then there's 17 company alumni. And that means people who worked at Xavier and then went to work at Fidelity. Most of the time, those people are going to be students just like you. I'm not a Xavier alum. That's why it's not showing me just alumni. But if I was, it would probably be showing me alumni instead. So if I wanted to try and connect with somebody and I said, hey, I think this is a really cool position. This is something I'm interested in. I could go ahead and try and reach out to one of my 2 connections or one of my 17 company alumni and try and connect with them and get them to share some information with me about working at Fidelity. So the other thing I'm going to show you while I'm on LinkedIn is probably my favorite ever thing with LinkedIn. So if you go to Xavier University's LinkedIn page and it loads, then you're going to go ahead and click alumni. This is how to see all of the Xavier alumni who have a LinkedIn page. So you can see we've got 56,000 plus alumni here. It will include current students, so sometimes you have to get creative in how you filter and adjust kind of the end year and the start year. But you can search based on where they live, where they work. You can search for what they do and what they studied, and you can search for things they're skilled at and how you're connected. So just really good ways to try and filter through and grow your network, especially if you're looking for a specific company. If you said, again, if you were like, oh no, I really want to find somebody at Fidelity, you can go ahead and kind of click through that and see all these folks who work at Fidelity. So really great networking opportunities. I think Handshake has great filtering, LinkedIn has great networking, and if you use both of them, you're going to be in a pretty good spot. All right, so let me go ahead and pull that presentation back up and we'll get back into that. All right, so I've talked about how to use your resources and I gave you a pretty in-depth show of how to use Handshake and how to use LinkedIn. But now I'm going to talk a little bit about doing your research. And the reason that I talk about doing your research is that I think it's really important to treat this like an investment, right? If you were going to go pick a college, right, like many of you did recently, it's a pretty serious deal. You're going to spend 4 years of your life, if not more, at college, right? And when we think about internships, it's not 4 years, but it is 2 to 3 months of full-time work for most folks, right? You want to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into because you want to make sure that you have as positive of an experience as possible. You want to make sure that you know what your experience is going to be like as much as possible. You want to make sure that you know what you're going to get out of it, what you can expect. And so doing that research is going to help you with that. When you think about how to do that research, use your network, right? That includes current and former student interns at that organization. Do informational interviews using Flash mentoring and your network in general. Try and figure out, what's it like to work at this company. Check out the company's website, LinkedIn, and Glassdoor too, because those are other really good resources that can help you learn a little bit more about the organization and what they do. One thing I will say though is that sometimes one person has a negative experience and they will tell you that. So I would just say if you hear one negative experience, don't necessarily write that company off. Try and get some other perspectives. If you hear consistently negative feedback, that's definitely a red flag, and you might want to come tell me or another career coach so that we can look more into that for you. But one negative experience doesn't necessarily mean that company is not worth considering. It just means that one person didn't have a great experience. All right, and then really important too is to be open-minded and persistent. I often talk to students who are talking to me about their internship search, and they're saying, well, they've applied and they've applied and they've applied, and they're just not getting anywhere. And I ask them how many positions they've applied to, and it's always a small number. You have to apply to more than just one internship. And I'm not saying two, right? You have to apply to probably 10 or 15 internships. And you need to make sure that you keep your options open, right? To do that 10 to 15, it's hard to find 10 to 15 positions that are all your number one top favorite internship, right? So be open-minded and be open to looking at other things. Apply to several positions and several companies until you find the right fit, right? Make sure that you follow up with the company if you haven't heard back. So if you had sent in an application and they said, yep, the position closes on February 28th, we'll let you know in the next couple weeks. And if the next couple weeks come and go and you still haven't heard back, it's totally appropriate to reach out. Now, don't be emailing them every day, and don't be emailing the day that they said they'd get back to you, because that's not a great look professionally. But it is okay to follow up. Make sure you give them as much grace as you possibly can, but definitely show that you're still interested in the company and take the initiative to reach out to them. I recommend practicing gratitude and sending a thank you note. Email is fine. It does not need to be a paper thank you note, especially with so many folks kind of planning to continue remote work, at least in some capacity. And you also want to make sure that they get it. So that's why one of the base values is email. So this would be after an interview, not just after applying. And then again, the same bullet point, follow up with a company if you haven't heard back. So this goes for interviewing too. If they said, hey, we're going to let you know by March 15th, and March 15th comes and goes, follow up with them in a week or two. Don't follow up that day or the next day. Again, you don't want to nag them, but it is really important to take that initiative and show that you're still interested. And then last but not least, understand rejection is part of the process. And the reason I bring this up is that if you were a great student in high school, you might have gotten into every single college you applied to. You might have gotten every scholarship you ever went for. You might have won everything that you've ever tried to compete in. And in the internship process, that's pretty rare. I'm not going to say it's never happened, but it's not common that you would get every single internship offer that you ever went for. So just make sure that you understand that rejection is part of the process, kind of work to build up some resiliency with that. And make sure that you're putting out the best possible application. That's really all that you can do. So making sure that resume and cover letter are stellar, and then kind of going from there. All right, while I have you, I have to give a little bit of a resume recap because you're going to start applying to internships if you haven't already been applying. Resumes need to be a one-page document. There are people in this world who have a longer resume than that, but as college sophomores, it should be a one-page document. One page is standard for college students, so keep it to one page. You want to make sure that you use white space appropriately. So I've seen some that look really blank because there's not enough content in there and it's too much white space. And I've seen some that are too full and there's not enough space and my eyes are like, they hurt because they don't know what they're supposed to be looking at. Resume should be single spaced and the margins should be somewhere between 1/2 inch and 1 inch. That's an easy way if you need to fill a page or take up less of a page to play around with that. You can use one font and it should be easy to read, so Times or Garamond. And then you don't want it to be smaller than 10-point font. It gets really hard to read when it gets smaller than that. I don't wear reading glasses, I wear normal glasses, and I still have a hard time reading something smaller than 10-point, especially if it's printed out. So don't go smaller than 10-point. Make sure that you're consistent in your formatting and your grammar punctuation. So some people will put periods at the end of their bullet points, some people don't. It doesn't matter what you pick as long as you're consistent. Same thing with where you put your dates or the city and state of your experiences. Doesn't matter where you put them, but it needs to be in the same spot for every single one of your experiences. Make sure that you're using bullet points to communicate your skills and experiences. Nobody's got time to read paragraphs when they're scanning resumes for that first glance through. So you want to make sure that you use bullet points because that's the only way that they're going to be able to kind of take in any of your skills and experiences. And then do not include information that's irrelevant to the job. So no hobbies, and references are a separate piece of paper. They do not belong on your resume, but make sure it's really focused on who you are and like as it is relevant to the job. So what are your skills and experiences that are relevant to the position? All right, and here's just a little kind of sample of how it might look. Again, you can see things are consistent here. Consistently formatted. You can see this is just kind of one short way of formatting. So you can also check out our career guide online if you want more information. All right, so last but not least, make sure that you connect with career development. We are having drop-in hours. The plan is for them to be 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Thursday and CLC 5:30. And you can always schedule an appointment using Handshake. So I showed you how to do that. So you should know how to do that. Make sure that you connect with us on social media. We are the most active on Instagram because that is where you all are the most active and engage with us. So you can follow us there at XU Career. We've been doing some fun giveaways and we plan to continue that. So definitely recommend checking us out. And then you can always check out upcoming career fairs and events on Handshake. All right, well, thanks so much for joining me today. Please go ahead and feel free to reach out if you have any questions or concerns. You can always schedule an appointment in Handshake, and you can always send me an email too. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye.